Hello, hello. Today's conversation is for you if you feel that you have burnt out, broken down, or if you feel depleted. So, if you're in that situation and you're looking for a way out of that state, then this conversation is going to be really, really important for you. Having said that, I'd like to ask you before we get started with this conversation to consider subscribing to the channel if you're getting value out of these videos. And more importantly, in addition to liking the video and sharing it, of course, I'd like to hear your comments. So, whenever we publish these conversations, it's really awesome to hear back from you to see what's on your mind, whether you agree, disagree, or if you have questions, because your questions are so valuable. With your questions, we can do several things. Number one, we can make the explanations better, but also oftentimes your question is also someone else's question. So we all grow when you ask your question. So thank you for that. Regarding burnout recovery, regarding depletion recovery, regarding a breakdown. So in my experience, people, when they are in that broken state or the burnt out state or in the depleted state, remember, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've compiled some data. When they arrive in that state, when they find themselves in this broken state, and we look backwards, one of four types of experiences happen to them. At least 99% of the people that I have seen, there might be an exception there, but for the most part, it's one of four things that happened. Either it was a really bad breakup, like a bad divorce, a bad breakup, or it was some type of financial ruin. They lost everything very suddenly. Or it was the death of a loved one, typically an unexpected death of a loved one. Or it was some type of major health diagnosis, like an unexpected diagnosis. Well, I had a little headache. I went to the doctor. Suddenly, I have this massive tumor, that kind of thing. And the doctor told me I have a month to live, that sort of thing. So like a massive diagnosis of like, a life threatening sort of situation that is unexpected. Now, what's interesting is people often ask me, but I know somebody who was in one of those four categories and did not end up broken or depleted or burnt out. And that is, of course, true because people deal with it differently. And also, we get into that experience already in different states. In other words, some people already have like a low grade level of constant stress, and they were very vulnerable. And then that experience happened and it broke them. In other words, we're built differently and our lives are different. So people process these types of events that I just mentioned differently. So not everyone who has a bad breakup, financial ruin, a major diagnosis, or lose a loved one, not everyone in that situation ends up broken or depleted. But when you look at the person who is currently broken, depleted, or in burnout, and you look backwards, at least in my experience, they all went through one of those four experiences in the recent past. Okay? So then you ask me, okay, is there something common in terms of how the person feel about those four experiences? And yes, over the course of years in therapy, I've discovered that there's something common and it's something that comes up all the time. So they've had one of these four experiences. They end up in a state that we could call depletion, brokenness, and if you ask them, okay, but I know what happened to you, but how do you feel? They feel betrayed. So again, maybe you wouldn't use that word, and I don't mean to put my words in your experience. I'm just explaining that when we dig and dig and dig into this therapeutically, the feeling of betrayal is quite present. So you say, dude, I discovered I have this major illness and the doctor told me I have 6 months to live. How is that? How is that betrayal? Well, when we talk about this, that's how the person feels. They feel that their bodies betrayed them. They feel that whatever they were told to do medically to prevent disease betrayed them because they did it and still ended up sick, or they feel like their parents betrayed them through their genes in some way. And in some cases, we even feel that God or life itself betrayed us because it wasn't supposed to end up this way. So notice, we have a bad experience. Again, not everybody who has that experience ends up broken, but those who end up broken had one of those experiences. And then when you dig deep into that experience, what's behind it, what's underneath it, the feeling is one of betrayal. So then the question becomes how to get out of the situation, how to build a new life. There's a whole book about this, Awesome Again. I wrote that book I think I published in 2019. And how to do it is in there. You can pick this up. I can send you a copy. The method is in there. There are 7 steps, and it always works. That's the same method I use at the office with a person when they come to see me. It always works. It worked for me when I was in that situation. It works for the people at the office. It will work for you. The steps are really well researched. We did a lot of research not only on what the steps are, but also the sequence of steps. Does it matter whether we start with this or that? And it turns out that in a few cases it does. And the steps are in there in the right order. Everything is explained in detail. But here's the thing that's not in the book. And I'm not sure if it's in the book or not. I forgot. But it's something that I've become aware of since the book came out. Or at least I became really conscious of it. When a person breaks down because of the feeling of betrayal, there are all kinds of other feelings that accompany the whole thing. Anger, frustration, depression, anxiety, constant panic attack. In other words, this idea of breakdown, this idea of depletion, this idea of burnout is a soup of things. It's very difficult to parse this out, to break this down into the components and fix everything. It's tough. It's tough work. From a therapist's point of view, it's very heavy lifting. It's a lot of work, so much so that you can hardly find a therapist like me who specializes in burnout recovery and depletion recovery because it's really tough work, So there are all these feelings, and I want to show you one angle, something that I didn't know before. It's probably going to be in the next edition of the book, right? It's a tough part. It's just an angle that I want to share with you because you may be feeling this way and not really consciously realize it. All of the problems that we have to deal with in burnout, depression, anger, the betrayal, what he did, what she did, what happened, the doctor, going to doctor's visits all the time if it's a health diagnosis, dealing with the financial problems if it's a financial ruin issue, dealing with all of it masks something else that's underneath it all. And that something is a profound sense of sadness and grief. Because at the end of the day, when a person is in breakdown, they feel that someone or something has died. In other words, who I used to be, that joyous, that vibrant, exuberant person I was, has died. And in breakdown mode, in depletion mode, we don't see a way to get that person back. That's one of the things that is so tough about that state. What I want to communicate to you, if you identify with this, is number one, yes, you can recover. Yes, you can build a new life. Yes, you can find yourself again. And I have really good news for you. You're not going to find your old self again because as much as you love that person, the pre-burnout person that you were, as much as you put that person in a pedestal from your perspective today, as much as you think that was the ultimate expression of who you are, I'm here to tell you that pales in comparison to who you're going to become now. And you're right if you feel that that person has died and you're mourning the loss of who you were. Because the best thing that ever happened to you is that that person died. Because now we have an opportunity to build a new you that is much better than that previous version of you. What is exciting about this is that it's an opportunity for you to begin a brand new life, a brand new you. That's what's exciting. And I have a lot of passion for this work because I've been there and I know how difficult it is to find the right kind of professional help. And I know how tough it is to get out of the deep, dark hole. But I have a special invitation for you. If you want to talk about this, there's a link in the description of this video, and you can click on that link and seek. You're gonna eventually go through a couple of steps, put your name down, whatever. Now, eventually, you're gonna get to a calendar link, and you and I can meet over the computer and discuss this, and I can show you. No commitment, no credit card required. It's not a sales call. You see, it's not why I do this. When we talk and you come to understand and you come into my community and you meet other people, when you get into this, you're going to understand what's behind it all. It's not about the money. It's not about the business. It's not about being famous. It's not about any of that. It's much bigger than all of that. So if you're suffering, if you feel depleted, if you feel broken, and if you want to discuss this, if you want to talk about this with someone who understands and can help you build a new life, then the thing to do would be to find the time. You're going to click on the thing and find the time to meet with me, and you and I are going to meet. No cost. We're not going to make that a barrier. It's not going to be a problem. But if you want to meet, we're going to meet, and you will build a new life for yourself. So I'm so proud of you if you're even here at this point in the video, because if you're here right now, it means that as I'm speaking to you, something within you has lit up. It's a little tiny light, a little tiny thing happening inside of you, and you might be asking yourself, what if this is for real? There's a little light of hope in there, and I'm here to tell you, I'm so glad for you, I'm so happy for you, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you, and I absolutely bless you. Thank you so much. See you soon.